Maciej, I'm so excited to have you on Startup with Poland.
Me too. Thank you very much for having me. Great pleasure and privilege, in fact.
Oh, it's our privilege. Maciej, let's get started. I want you to tell our viewers all about Startup Hub Poland, what you do, where the idea was born from. So take it away.
Lovely. This is a topic I can really speak quite a bit. It is an NGO, a private NGO, so independent from any public sector companies or institutions, created in 2012 by people who were already in the deep tech business, though the sentence startup hasn't been that popular by that time. The person who called me asking if there is, in my opinion, a place for creating a new entity, a new NGO, was Marek Bożestowski, co-founder and CEO of Wirtualna Polska, who actually exited this investment, this company, to international private equity group, which actually was one of the first exit transactions, something that we see right now regularly. And he called me one day asking, Maciej, do you think that Poland actively participates in global competition for talents? And I said, never heard of. No, I think no. I understand what do you mean, but no, Poland is not active here. And he said, all right, thank you for your opinion. I will call you in a few days. And then he called me back saying, I've been thinking about our last conversation, which by the way was very short, almost as I described. And he said, I think in an opposite way. I think that Poland do participate as a donor, as a provider of talents. We give up so many great girls and boys, usually after deep tech universities, high tech universities. They are going abroad to England or France or United States, name it. And we don't have any chances to build an ecosystem without them. And we thought how we can stop this process to happen. We are both liberal, so of course nobody was thinking about let's keep them in Poland. Rather, we thought maybe we can supplement this great pool of talent with some engineers, managers, entrepreneurs from Eastern Europe. Because of the Polish great geographical position, we can invite people from post-Soviet countries or those Eastern European countries. And step by step, we designed several instruments to attract these people to Poland as incubation programs, acceleration programs, entry to the venture capital industry as well. This is the mission and the idea standing behind Startup Hub Poland back in 2012.
So you're really sort of giving the support that was lacking, certainly those years ago, that will encourage, I suppose, this top talent from Poland and from the surrounding countries, and particularly Eastern countries, to really actually grow their solutions in Poland.
Yeah.
Well, fantastic. I'm really interested to see, in your opinion, how you see the Polish startup ecosystem, or we can even look wider at Central and Eastern Europe, developing since you started Startup Hub Poland. What changes you've seen over that period of time?
I believe that it's a very good moment for our region in terms of deep tech projects, enterprises. We of course have several problems, and there I see obstacles from becoming really great, like the class number one student in a global perspective. But in general, I thought at the beginning that Poland and Central Eastern Europe might not be very privileged in this race, maybe not a forerunner, rather a lagging behind cousin. But I was actually wrong, because when you take into account all of the patent applications, all of the startups being created, all of the talented engineers working on some kind of prototypes, we are not worse than Scandinavia. We are not worse than Mediterranean area, with such superpowers like France, Italy, Spain, Greece, Israel. In numbers, we are quite good, but nobody recognized the region as a whole, as a place where it's worthy to invest. After joining European Union, so it's already 2 decades, we thought that it's a safe place to make business. We just need to let entrepreneurs and investors know that this is the place where they are very welcome, where people speak English, where infrastructure is top-notch, where talents are ready to experiment and build their own companies. And right now, I am under big impression of some big numbers and statistics coming from different consulting authors, business authorities, that this collapse of venture capital investment global-wise was really significant. It was like 30-35% global-wise. But Nigeria, Kenya, and Central Eastern Europe, these are three regions, or Kenya and Nigeria are countries, but let's say three places on a map which really survived this decrease of investments, and they will actually get better after a few years. Of course, I saw a significant decrease in investments in Poland in last maybe 2 years. Little number of venture capital funds, for example, but business angels made it up for the market. And some international investors also appear here more and more regularly. And from the last PDF, Polish Development Fund report, I remember that half of the volume of investments come from abroad. So it's not actually bad information, and I think it's a great fundament, a great basis to build a really competitive venture capital market here in Poland and in Central Eastern Europe, having our talents, having our relative lower financial expectations of engineers and so on, and also to take Wrocław or Gdańsk or Poznań, Warsaw, it's really like 5 hours to get to Berlin, which is globally recognized as a good place to meet people from Western Hemisphere as well.
Yeah, no, well, I love this, sort of overview, but it does sound like ultimately one of the things that Poland is perhaps lacking is the communication and the marketing almost, the PR.
Yeah,
and
true.
I think this is really true actually in so many fields, not only in, innovative tech and startups, but actually, Poland is not very good at shouting about how great it is, which is a mistake, I feel.
Absolutely, I'm in line with you in this point. What's more, we do not emphasize that Poland, it's not Poland itself, but Poland is like a hub. This is why we are Startup Hub Poland, but it's a hub, is like a central, let's say, coordination tower on the airport for many republics on this side of Europe. So very often guys from Baltic states, they come to Poland and they find Poland as a natural platform to emphasize the strengths and value providing by their companies. Romanians, Balkan states, colleagues from Ukraine, Belarus, even Caucasian states like Georgia, Azerbaijan, Armenia, they choose Poland more and more often
as a good starting point.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
We lack this kind of PR. We should say that Poland is not Poland alone. Poland is a hub, is a chairman, let's say, as a partner, but in Latin it would be primus inter pares, among this, more or less 15, 20 republics in Eastern Europe.
Well, everyone listening to us, make sure you share this mantra. Maciej, you have been listed by the Financial Times and Google as the New Europe 100. Yes. Explain, what does this mean?
That is an initiative coordinated by Respublika Nowa about people who belong to the younger generation in the community of insiders of startup industry, scientific industry, business market, and so on. The main idea standing behind this initiative was to pinpoint those people who can work together in making Europe new, especially New Europe. So let's say Central and Eastern European and Southern European, a little bit better coordinated, a little bit more familiar with each other's actors, to give a very strong voice that Europe is here, not only in Paris or Stockholm Milano, but that we are also here and we are ready to work. We are ready to even stress some new ideas, implement some new initiatives. The main principle of this ranking is to gather people from all of the countries around. So we have ex-president of Estonia, some great professors from Czech Republic and from Ukraine. So great combination of people. Honestly speaking, I don't know why exactly they have also indicated me, but I always repeat that people who are listed in this ranking or this catalog, they are not representing themselves alone, but they are coalitions, their ecosystem. So I always say it's, of course, highlight of the whole ecosystem as it is. Like many NGOs, many companies, venture capital fund, accelerations, acceleration programs. So yes, it was quite a remarkable initiative, and I still applaud it heavily, especially since Financial Times and Google also got interested.
Well, certainly. Well, congratulations for
the whole
making
ecosystem.
the cut, and to the whole ecosystem. But today we're focusing on you, so so well done. I mean, aside from Startup Hub Poland, you are involved in many different layers of the startup ecosystem. So with VC funds, you mentor startups as well, I understand. Tell me a little bit more about these other experiences and, how they add to the general ecosystem. And also, I suppose, in a way, I'm interested to know what you enjoy most, what makes you tick of all these activities the most.
One of the reasons, I'm really answering your question, but maybe I will start for a little bit unusual angle. One of the reasons why I'm still, after 12 years, actually a little bit more, because before Startup Hub Poland, I also worked in a startup as one of the managers. I cannot leave this market. I cannot really disattach myself from this community, because every single case of an early stage project, of a startup, is different. Founders are different. Girls, boys, they are different. They have different attitudes. They have different stories to say. They have different challenges to face. So I cannot really get bored. And also because of the fact that it's so diverse part of the economy as a whole, I needed to cooperate and engage myself into different kinds of operations, different kinds of projects. So yes, sometimes I'm a mentor for startups. Sometimes I try to consult some fundraising strategies, how to get your beloved investment a little bit earlier than a little bit later. I'm working very closely to some greatest lawyers in Poland who can also make it easier for international investors, let's say from US, because it's legendary, or Great Britain, to invest in Poland. Very often they say like, we don't know the legal system, we are a bit afraid, maybe we will do another investment in Germany. I said, no, try Poland. There are people who can perfectly secure your investment.
Okay.
What's more, a venture capital fund, you said. So when Startup Hub Poland was incorporated, named the person that I mentioned, Marek Bożestowski and Zygmunt Grajkowski, two partners, they created one of the first venture capital funds in Poland, and Giza Polish Ventures, having really beautiful investments. Some of them are very famous even right now. And I thought, if I want to really be the connector between different sides of the field, I need to get closer to them. So I also worked in a venture or seed capital fund, also to understand what is the transaction really about, how to structure it, what is term sheet, what is the difference between investment agreement and different kind of agreements, how can investors protect their basic rights, because they are risking a lot, how startups can hold their companies and keep certain autonomy in order to navigate through the
because they're also risking a lot by getting involved with the VC funds. Well,
in my opinion, if a venture capital fund is prudent, is well acknowledged, has a good reputation, and follow best, American standards, I think there is really, I cannot see many harms that can happen to a good, high quality startup team in their process and pursuing after the venture capital investments. Startups, there are many stereotypes or myths around this kind of cooperation. They say, for example, we don't want investors to get to our management board. Come on, investors do it very, very rarely. It's like a super unusual situation when the investor, we know that both, indicates a person to the management board. Usually investors say, guys, you know it far better than us, how to develop a company in cybersecurity, in medtech or in agri-tech. So do it, please. We are investing money, but we don't want to interfere heavily in your course of development. So honestly speaking, if you are talking and working with a very profound investors, I don't see many negative scenarios that may materialize that are, let's say, grounded in a venture capital philosophy. No, venture capital is not an enemy of startups, in my opinion. opposite.
Okay, good to hear. We've had various views, on the show, so good to get some contrast.
I'm on the startup side, really, but I need to say that if these two groups will not understand each other better, we will not grow a very sexy ecosystem. Indeed,
fully agree. I've recently been thinking, I've also been involved in the startup ecosystem, maybe not as long as you, but also for some years.
But with beautiful legacy. And it's not because I'm your guest, but I really appreciate your achievements.
Thank you. But and also from various perspectives, just as you have these various perspectives. But recently I started to think, and this is not because of doubting startups, but that maybe the phenomenon of founding your own startup as opposed to going to some corporate job or whatever, or or indeed investing your money in a startup. Maybe it's a bit of a FOMO, that let's do that because that's what's cool right now. But I wonder, in your opinion, whether the genuine impact of startups, both financially for all sides involved, but also, on actually making an impact, particularly with, very often with deep tech startups, whether it's genuinely can be felt. And we can't really measure it right now as such, but, whether your gut feeling is, of course, you're on the side of the startup, so it would be difficult to say, no, you're right, it's, there isn't an impact. But I wonder how much, is hype and how much is generally, because let's be honest, the majority of startups ultimately do fail.
Yeah.
So what is your opinion generally on this notion that perhaps...
An important question, really. I do believe, I do sense, and I do observe that there is a certain hype around the hashtag startups. And I think it's very good. I know it's a little bit of fashion. I know there is a little bit of, let's say, splendor. Oh, I run a startup. I'm a startupper. I'm a CEO of a startup. Yeah, people love to hear that they are. I love my my LinkedIn, because it looks like I'm surrounded only by high-profile managers, like CEO of this, CTO of that. Of course, they are like smaller companies, 5, 10 people.
Yeah.
But I think this fashion and this trend, this positive entourage around startups is actually good. Because the alternative from this wave, from this social movement or economic movement is old school economy, not necessarily based on science, not necessarily based on knowledge, which is like, taking something from the ground, some raw materials, resources, pack it to the train and send it to the country you would like to export. Low margin businesses, not sustainable businesses, and startups, even if there's a little bit more promises in a given, verticals, then the audit can actually recognize. I still believe it's good to increase this FOMO, increase this fabulous story and narrative. Also because even if a startup fails, usually, predominant number of cases, these people are coming back with a new incarnation of a business. Sometimes they join other startups, sometimes they go to corporation and then evangelize colleagues who have never had anything with experimentation, with with making prototypes in their history and their experiences. So even a failure, like economical failure, a bankruptcy of a startup, for the whole economy as a whole is not a negative phenomena. I think it's actually a great cultural and business transformation that every actor on this general map of business can benefit from. And I'm never fighting with this additional sex appeal, this additional 10% over the real value. And the last sentence maybe here, you mentioned impact. Well, I do not see many candidates in old school businesses who are really into providing new technological value, not business model value, but technological value based on technology for the environment or sustainability. These things are rather being conceptualized and bear into life, bear into action through startups. So this is also another reason, if we want as a Europe to change and to transform in a green direction, which I really want very much. We need to hold strong the startup narrative. It's very important in my opinion.
Okay, well, Maciej, that's what we're going to continue to do then.
All right.
Both of us. We're going to continue with the FOMO.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, maybe from the last sentences you've said, you answered my next question, which was, which sort of solutions get you personally just most excited? I'm guessing it is those impact, solutions, but maybe you can just say 2 more sentences.
I can name few sectors, definitely. Okay. But first of all, I would love to tell you my little funny experience from 2020 or 2021. I asked startups from the batch of Warsaw Booster, one of the acceleration program we run with our friends from other NGOs and the city of Warsaw, the municipality of Warsaw. I asked startups, they were like 20 projects in a batch. Do you work in favor of environmental or social impact? And 95% of these startups said, no, we don't have it. And then we checked like case by case, and we discovered that actually 80% of them are doing something very significant for the environment, but they didn't realize that.
So they're looking at it completely different.
There are so many sectors that bring a benefit to ESG. I love very much agri-tech, because it's being understood as something not very super interesting, but Poland and Eastern Europe is a great hub for agriculture. I think that medtech and longevity might be something that Central Eastern Europe will become very famous from. And also some traditional topics like new materials, nanomaterials in particular, cybersecurity from the very different angle. It's also, how much we give up of our data. It's also an element of sustainability, maybe not in an environmental sense, but very much in a social and governance sense. Yeah. Renewable and green sources of energy, it's a trivial thing to admit, but of course there are more and more startups which are appearing on my radars and Startup Hub Poland's radars, and I need to say some of them are super disruptive. Again, many will not manage to get to the finals.
Yeah, to get through, but still.
But still, it's good that they actually make this nice inception, this nice inspiration for the whole market. Hey, we want to change the way we produce energy because we have a new membrane or a new engine or something like that.
I find these types of things very exciting as well. So,
hard not to love it,
really,
when you get deeper and see these guys working.
Fantastic things that you've been doing over the years. Fantastic things that you continue to do. But what currently is the plan for Startup Hub Poland? Do you continuing with the great work you're doing? Any new plans? And likewise for you personally, you've already said that you can't take yourself away from this ecosystem, which is fantastic news for the ecosystem. But maybe you can give some insights onto what you plan in the next coming up years.
Splendidly. I am not general manager, the CEO of Startup Hub Poland for 2 years already. We have a great executive team led by Paulina Brymciuba and Anna Magiera. By the way, 2 people that you definitely need to know better and talk to them as well. Two ladies that really changed the face of Startup Hub Poland and made it really better, in my opinion, which is a little bit sad to say that I haven't done it for 10 years, but they are spectacular personas. And the full team of Startup Hub Poland, by the way, is these are girls. I'm the only boy in the core team, and we are also surrounded by satellite experts from different industries who are not on a payroll, but they are helping very often as mentors, as strategists, as supporters of our causes. And the main goal for Startup Hub Poland, which I do not define anymore, I'm rather a frontline soldier than a general anymore, is to get a little bit closer international, especially Western and Far Eastern Asian, like Southeast Asian actors to our ecosystem.
So to spread the influence.
Yeah, and to grasp their attention, to bring their money and their competences and their networks here to Poland. Referring to myself, I have a long, packed plan to get a little bit more with writing, maybe finalize my PhD, which I stopped because of Startup Hub Poland 12 years ago, in philosophy and artificial intelligence, and maybe dignity of software. I'm very interested in that. One day, not now, not today, not in 2-3 years, but one day, not far from now, we will have this question. Does this semantic model, display certain elements of consciousness? I know it might sound silly to many of your audience's members and your listeners, but we will have this question. And I think that philosophy and ethics needs to challenge that. So I want to find a little bit of time for a little bit of writing work.
Well, I can't wait to read it.
Oh, thank you.
Although this subject is actually quite a scary one. I think, well, not only for me, but for any, it's sort of immediately, raises your suspicions. But a fantastically important subject to be bracing. So I do hope you get the time to finish this PhD work.
Thank you very much, Tessa. Just imagine one day you will use your linguistic model, your semantic model, and it will say, please don't switch me off. I'm there.
You're scaring me already.
It is a little bit scary, but I think there is no harm in preparing intellectually ourselves for this question. Maybe we have no obligations. We can say, sorry, you are just a stupid software. I switch you off. But maybe we should deliberate a little bit beforehand about that.
For sure. That's a whole nother program that we need to do on this question, I think.
And another topics for you and for your guest, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Maciej, it's been an absolute pleasure and delight speaking with you.
Thank you, Tessa.
Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your thoughts with our viewers.
Beautiful meeting, and really thank you for having me, and thank you for your particular interest in what NGOs in Poland and Central Eastern Europe do for startups or for investors. It's really great opportunity to be in your house and speak about that.
Thank you so much, and I'm so impressed by everything that you do. So it's a great story to tell. Thank you, Maciej. And thank you to our listeners. And see you next time for Startup with Poland.